Testing, testing. Everybody, I'm testing. I've been tested, I've been arrested. And now I'm well rested. What a glorious day. Welcome to the mental realm of existence. I'm your host, Jose Luis Mateo Jr. Today's episode, dreams are like bones. Do you think I'm going to give you some cliche about how they're like bones in the way that they can hold true or that they can be broken? No. What I mean, when I say dreams are like bones, what I mean is that as we get older, we seemingly have less of them. This is a quote-unquote common knowledge fact within the Oneironaut society embedded in the psychological community. It's a quote-unquote known fact that we are supposedly dreaming less. And as you've already heard me rant about before, when we dream, we bottleneck that stream of consciousness, right? We dumb ourselves down because of our priority setting to our dream state. This fact, I feel, negates this quote-unquote common knowledge thought. Just considering this thought to be common knowledge only solidifies it further. In my eyes, we dream the same. I don't believe we ever stop dreaming. I don't believe there's a day that we go without dreaming. I don't think there's a night we go without dreaming. I mean, hell, when we daydream, we dream. When we daydream, we enact the ability to dream. Now, how hard do you think it would be to be lucid in a daydream versus how hard it would be to be lucid in a nighttime dream? What's really the difference? When you daydream, the whole of your consciousness, the essence, the quote-unquote soul that's in your body is not fully occupying your vessel. It's going somewhere else. It's not totally right there in your vessel the same way it's not there when you sleep at night. The only difference is you're in your waking state, but you're still dreaming. And the different sides of the same coin. You are in fact still dreaming. I feel and believe that as we get older, we develop all these conscious and subconscious constructs, and these play into the remembrance of our dreams. These play into the ability as to whether or not we can fully remember our dreams. We think just because we don't remember them, they didn't happen. In the same way, a nerdy guy or maybe an insecure guy might not be able to pick up social cues from the opposite sex or from the same sex, whatever, from the people that they are attracted to. They're not able to pick up these subtle cues and markers because they have gauged themselves on an uphill battle mindset, meaning that whatever they want to do is gonna take some work. What's the difference between a child dreaming and an adult dreaming, other than the waking constructs that are applied? Because when a child is dreaming, a child will tell you the wildest dreams that have happened and the most insane things. A child can go on and on and on about the dream. You can discuss a dream with a child for more than a little bit. They they remember more than we do because we have more waking priorities. I didn't say quote unquote, but I'm hitting the air quotes with my fingers right now. I don't feel that this common knowledge thought is common knowledge. I think it's applied knowledge. I think that this thought that adults don't dream the same way, and even senior adults, right? People up there, people that we would call elders, seemingly dream less than we do. I don't feel that that's the case. One of the biggest backing points, other than humans being a continuous stream of consciousness, is I've learned, and I don't want to reveal too much right now because I'm saving it for the intermediary version of this podcast when season 2 comes out, when we peel the onion back one layer further. But in reading a book called The Tibetan Yogas of Dream and Sleep, I have learned that in a society where dreaming has been an art form for over 1,000 years, that when we dream at night, our consciousness, our soul, our essence enters one of 6 chakra points. One of 6. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to what these chakra points are, where they are at, what the different dreaming realms are in each one of these realms. But if you think about our society, Western society in particular, I happen to live in America. In America, dreaming has only been sought after by a solidified community, the psychological community, since the days of Sigmund Freud. I believe that, I feel that we have been looking at the efficacy, the underlying notions, how to dream, the science of dreaming since about like 1940s. Now, compare our knowledge base to that of the Tibetan society, where they have 1,000 years of knowledge. Compare it to Toltec traditions, where there are people in Latin America who have 5,000, at least 5,000 years of experience. Just because it isn't purveying in our society doesn't mean that everyone else is not learning what we are now learning. And given our lack of knowledge of energy and within our body and what to do with that energy, it makes total sense that we have not so much turned a blind eye, but we've blinded ourselves to dreaming and to what that means. As I said before in previous podcasts, if you were to do anything in the same regard that you do dreaming, how well would you be able to do that? If you knew that during your waking state, you were going to work, and for 5 to 8 hours of that work schedule, however long your work schedule is, if you only remembered fragments of what happened during your job, and on the drive home you're like, wow, what? I can barely remember what happened today. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because if I can't remember it, then it must not be important. How long do you expect to keep that job? If you were to do the same thing in a relationship, how well would that relationship be kept? Whether it be an intimate relationship, a friendship, a family situation, what in your life can you do with the same level, the same dumbed down level of consciousness that you take on dreaming every single night? We haven't turned a blind eye. We've blinded ourselves. Dreams are only like bones because we believe them to be so. When we're young, we start out with so many. But as we get older, we get fewer and fewer. We consciously register fewer and fewer of them, to the point where we think, wow, I just don't dream at all. I just don't dream every night. I don't dream at all. I just close my eyes and boop, I'm awake again. If you've made it this far into the podcast, this many episodes in, we're way past introductories. We're way past all the formalities and all the bullshit. I've already made my claim for everything else the same way I'm gonna make my claim for this. Once society can realize that we dream the same, if anything, our dreams as adults are more detrimental to us when we don't remember them. There is a whirlwind of energetic exchanges within the dream state. There is so much going on. There's so much giving out energy, receiving very little of it, that it makes sense that we're drained from dreaming. Dreaming can drain us. We remember less from dreaming because we so freely give everything away. If you had a finite amount of money, you could only earn so much, and everyone around you kept coming up with whatever reason, whatever excuse to get money from you, to borrow money because they're going to give it back. But the money they give back isn't the same quality, isn't even the same quantity as what you've given them. You'd go broke very fast. The same thing happens with our energy. We freely, because we don't understand what's going on in our dream state, we freely hand out energy without understanding any kind of repercussions. Life takes a grand toll on us as we get older, and we have less energy to move around with. We have less energy to hop out of bed with. We have less energy to exchange when we make love. We have less energy to live this version of our lives with. And in the book that I'm reading, the Tibetan Yogas of Dream and Sleep, they teach that in the same way we can retain our consciousness in our dream state, we can retain our consciousness after death. Now, if you have freely given out all of your energy because you don't understand the exchange, how well are you going to be able to retain that consciousness after you die? After the vessel that you've been using and abusing for this version of your life, how well do you think you can transition into the next stage? If you were a caterpillar and you had already wasted all your natural resources, how strong is that cocoon to allow you to become a butterfly? What's your transitional stage like? What's the chances of you not making it out? What's the chances of you just falling apart and being cast into this maelstrom of energy? What are the chances that your archetypes that pervade the dreamscape, what are the chances that they end up just taking over the whole of your life? I mean, how many people do you know that are older than you that were sweeter people to you growing up, and as adults they're all pieces of shit? How many people do you know that are mirrors who reflect what they're given instead of remaining centered and balanced? This life this life is an exchange of energy, and we barely understand it. And because we barely understand the exchange of energy, we create some pseudo shaky ass platform and we say, well, this is where we're at, and this is what we've got, and this is how we live our lives. How many people know that sexual energy and spiritual energy are almost like the body's yin and yang? Yin and yang. How many people know that the body is comprised of these two energies? How many people know that this sexual energy that we feel we have to express with other people. We gotta go masturbate. We gotta go fuck somebody. We gotta go do something sexually charged because we're just horn dogs. How many people out there actually know that if you had the discipline and the ability to transmute that energy, that you could do so much more than just fawn after somebody else, than just wanting to bust a nut? How many people know that info? If the percentage, if I had to throw a percentage, I would say less than 5% of the world's, well, maybe not the world's, but of America's population knows about the energetic exchange of sexual energy, knows that holding on to that energy, letting it build, letting it fester inside instead of just giving it out willy-nilly is actually the way that we should be living. There is no reason other than the ones that we fabricate to think that a guy needs to have sex. A guy needs to have sex. All right, we don't need to have sex. We want to have sex. We want to feel that release of energy. We want to we want to dominate, but we create these grandiose thoughts. We create these thoughts of grandeur for ourselves and our sexual capacity because we just don't know any better. I feel the same way about this that I do about astrology. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm a double fire. My sun, I believe, is my rising sun is a Sagittarius. I have a lot of those traits, but I don't believe that they define the whole of me. I don't believe that they define what I'm able to do and my limitations. I very much so hate, not dislike, I hate when I hear well, you know, I'm a Pisces, so I had to do this, and that. Oh, I'm petty. I'm an Aries. You don't know how petty Aries can get. That's the same judgment call where like, hey, don't trust that guy, he's black. Or hey, look at Whitey McWhidington over here. He's blah 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 blah. We make these half-ass assumptions with no real knowledge base of what's going on. You start talking about astrology and the stars and what they make up to you, and my eyes absolutely will dull over if I hear the same stuff that I always hear. Well, I can only do X, Y, and Z because I'm a such and such. Well, you know, I can't do that because I'm a such and such. Oh, I'm such an emotional person because I'm a Cancer. No, you're an emotional person because you don't know how to work with the trauma that's inside of you. You're a fired up person because the archetype that embeds itself in your anger, you've only been feeding since you were a kid because of the things that you've gone through. We create this glass ceiling and act like, well, I can't go past it, but we made it. We made it. The glass ceiling is no more real than what we make of it. And this is the same thing we do with dreaming. This is the same way we dumb ourselves down in our dreamscape, our dream state, our dream lives. This is what we do to ourselves. It's like we almost want to remain in a state of trauma. It's like we don't want to move forward. It's like the whole of humanity fights itself to not move forward. How do we advance? It's astounding that we apparently went from caveman status to this status, because the difference between us and cavemen are not that vast. Yeah, we have technology. Yeah, we have some spur of emotional intelligence. Yeah, sure, but we still rely on sex the same way. We still have fight or flight. We still think the same way, kill or be killed. We still think life ends at death. We still think the time on this earth is the most valuable time on this earth. And even worse now, we think that it means nothing because we shove our phones in our faces every fucking day. If you really knew you had 97 days till you die, if you knew that, you're gonna be on your phone all the time? But if you knew you had 60 years, yeah, I can spend some time on my phone. Yeah, I got 60 years left. I can spend some time doing this. I got 60 years. What do I care? It's a lot of time. 365 times 60 minus, I don't know, 20 days, whatever, leap years, right? I don't know. All I know is I have an abundance of time. But what are you doing with it? What are you doing with it other than creating limitations that you can't pass because you're scared? What are you doing? Who would you be? Who would you be if you knew that we were in a state of evolution but that we were holding ourselves back? Who would you be if you knew that society being able to retain its consciousness after death was one of the highest forms of evolution? Because it means that death isn't death. It means that we are the caterpillar and dying is a cocoon and the butterfly is the energy. Would you worry about work the same way? Would you even clock in tomorrow? Would you go to something so draining for your life when you knew that you had to prepare yourself? Would society even have jobs anymore, or would we have transitional stages? Hey, from a child to a teenager, your DMT output is insane because of your waking constructs, because you don't have these kind of solidified barriers that an adult has. Hey, from teenage years to your adult years, instead of worrying about working and hitting the puberty and starting to like chicks or like guys or whatever, what if you knew that you had to prepare yourself for that next transitional stage? What if you knew that the energy that you held and that you continued to hold in would only support that transition? So when you actually do pass away on this earth, you could still be alive. You could still traverse the universe. You would be your own conglomerate of energy that is activated. What would you do with your life if you found this out? Because I'm telling you that this is all possible. We have traditions and knowledge and corners of the planet that are recorded and not recorded that back up what I'm saying. Where would we be as a society? Instead, we're so singular, we're so single-minded, we're so fucking binary. What's the difference between us and cavemen? We're still ignorant as fuck. What's the difference? What's the difference between knowing the earth is round and knowing the earth is flat? We're not doing much about it. This is just a baseline, a quote-unquote baseline knowledge that people throw around for argument's sake or for whatever, for just monotonous bullshit. Like, we're not really doing nothing with nothing. We leave the evolutionary theories and everything else to the big boys upstairs to figure all that out. Meanwhile, we just play small-minded games with everybody. We just talk down about the next person. We just limit ourselves every single day. Do we even deserve life after our physical death? If we can't even figure that out? Do we deserve that? Does our life matter? Does our existence matter when we just bottleneck and limit the shit out of ourselves? Does any of it matter? Do you matter? Do you want to matter? Because if you don't want to matter, like everyone is acting like, right? Like their shit don't stink. If you don't realize that you actually don't matter because you're not really doing anything, if you realize that you don't matter because you're not really doing anything, are you gonna keep doing the same things because it's easier to believe that you matter? It's because it's easier to be a big fish in a small pond instead of the small fish in a big pond? Are you okay with plateauing? Are you okay with being limited? Are you okay with being stuck? Are you okay with being a come mierda? A shit eater? Are you okay with that? I'm not. I'm a recluse. I don't like being around people because it's all simple stuff. It's all basic stuff. It's all level entry stuff. It's all things that they're worried about that people shouldn't even be caring about anymore. I seen a video the other day where a woman was backing up the play that men need more than one partner to stay satisfied. What's the level of satisfaction you're looking for, bud? Other than to just bust a nut? What's the quality of your life down the road? You got 2 women. Cool. What are you doing with that? What are you utilizing sex magic? Are you utilizing your sexual energy and their sexual energy to create an even more omnipotent being than the one you were supposed to be? And then just limit that child as well? What are you doing? What does any of this shit matter about? We've created meaning. We've created meaning out of a meaningless life. And the life becomes meaningless because we refuse to actually see the horizon. We just see the sun and the shade, but we don't focus on the horizon. We just see what's up in the sky and we see what's covering us. We don't look at what's beyond. We don't. And this is why dreams are like bones. This is why we experience less of them as we get older, because we predispose ourselves to it. And because we don't understand dreaming, we're like, okay, I dream less. My rant is over. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And I honestly hope I hurt some feelings today, because I'm here to disrupt what you have. I'm here to help you realize that we're not doing what we should be doing. We're not. We act like life is so busy, but we're making a lot of nothing out of nothing, and it's gonna get us nothing. I hope you take the time to expand yourself, and I hope you keep rocking with me. Have a good day.